Welcome into Dragon Ball Super Dope. Thank you for checking this out. My name is Kyle. So this is going to be a fairly quick episode, I think, unless I really go off on a tangent about Sparking Zero, which I do not expect. But a couple of pieces of news that I thought were pretty notable and I wanted to share and talk about a little bit, and I'm kind of genuinely excited about. The first of which, I'll leave with the second piece because the second piece is less impressive. I want to listen to Jaka Jaan, not to be confused with Jaka Jaan. I want to listen to the new opening theme song for Dragon Ball Daima. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm kind of going back and forth. Part of me loves it. Part of me thinks it's such a weird fucking song, dude. But also kind of reinforces the general theme of like little kiddish kind of shit. And I do not mean that in a negative connotation here. I think it's a cool song. We're going to listen to it. But first and foremost, I feel like it's kind of a quick thing, but super notable. Danny Geekdom 101, friend of the show, recently reported that Stephanie Nadolny will be reprising her role as Kid Goku for Dragon Ball Daima. Now, why is this notable? Well, she was the OG, man. She was the first one to do Kid Goku in the English dub, and she, for whatever reason, was not asked back to do, I believe it was Gohan and Kai that they were very upset about. Now, if you've listened to the show for any period of time, I think it was last year. So if you've listened over the last year, I've maybe alluded to a very awkward interaction that I had with her. Me and Victor O. Roman, friend of the show, I had an uncomfortable interaction with her. Victor was in his glory. He had a great time. He was so happy to meet her, and she was very nice to us. I'm not trying to say that she wasn't, but I've gone to a couple of conventions with Victor, and Victor always asks whoever he's going to meet for a signature or a picture or whatever, he always asks them some questions, like fan questions. And when he got to Stephanie Nadolny, he was like, yeah, I want to get a picture or a signature for his daughter, I think, or his son. Either way, my bad, Vic. But he got a signature for one of his children. And then he was like, but I have to ask you these questions. And he asked 3 questions rapid fire. Who's your favorite? Who's your least favorite? And I can't remember the third, but the third doesn't matter. Because her first favorite, I believe she said, was Gohan. Understandably so. Who's your least favorite was the second question. And she didn't mention this person by name, but we all knew exactly who it was immediately when she started talking about it. It's like, whoever voices the guy for Vegeta, that guy, oh, I hate Vegeta, that guy sucks. And just kind of proceeded to trash talk Chris Sabat to us I felt uncomfortable. Because the one interaction for 30 seconds, who fucking knows what the guy's really like? I don't. But like, he's got a really long, successful track record of doing successful script adaptations and overseeing the voiceovers for Dragon Ball. So I do have to give him some credit. I don't want to say benefit of the doubt, but some credit as like a person to be able to adapt that shit properly. Who knows how he is in his personal life? She just shit talked Chris Sabat for like 5 minutes as I like sat there and watched her sign Victor's pop, and I think we took a picture. It was very uncomfortable the way in which she chose to share that story with us. So with her coming back as the voice of Daima, one, despite my interaction with her, holy fucking shit, man. What a tremendous, excellent, smart move. This has not been confirmed. Again, the only person who's reported it is Danny. Danny's sources are good. I feel anyway. I don't know. I am friends with Stephanie on Facebook. I've been keeping an eye on her statuses over the last few days to see if she likes or comments on any of the fucking dozens of people who have congratulated her on Facebook about it. Nothing. No interaction at all. If she is truly in this role, she would not be able to say anything about it. She would have definitely signed an ironclad NDA. If she wasn't in the role, there is no reason to think that she wouldn't be apologizing, be like, oh, misinformation. No, guys, no. She's not saying shit. In my opinion, that almost butt confirms it. She's coming back as Kid Goku, and that is going to be so good. So good. If you know some of the backstory between Sabbath and how he apparently used to run things, according to 2 or 3 people, honestly, in the dozens and dozens of people he worked with, when she was cut out of the equation, a lot of people speculated there was like a casting couch situation going on. Now, I'm not trying to talk about pornos, at least not right now with you guys here on this feed. I talk about pornos with nobody, because that's weird. So I do hope that she's the person, because she is the iconic voice. Good luck imitating it. You can't. She's that good. Does she have some problems as a person? I don't know. I don't know her personally, but my very limited interactions with her, she's a character. How about that? She's a character. And I don't mean in no Son Goku way, but she is a tremendously talented person. There is no doubt about that. And I have no doubt that she's going to absolutely kill it in this role. Okay? So take that for what it's worth. I feel like I just laid it out on both sides. I'm super excited to hear her. That's the first Goku voice I ever heard as a 6-year-old child. I am yearning to hear it again. But doing what I do with this stupid ass podcast for the last several years, I've just interacted in ways with the person where I'm just like, oh, you're a person. You're not infallible or anything like that. That said, I'm so excited to have her back. But I will tell you, this kind of, I don't know, I could be completely stupid and wrong and misinformed about this situation, but I thought about it. It's the first Dragon Ball dub they're going to be doing no longer under Funimation. It's technically Crunchyroll now. They absorbed Funimation, right? So it got me to thinking, she had this issue with Sabbath, right? And if that's true, and he hasn't recast her in the better part of it, over a decade now at this point, right? Maybe there's some beef, and, professionally speaking, they just didn't see eye to eye anymore, and he didn't think to call her, or didn't want to call her, however you want to fucking put it. He's the guy who oversees the localization of it here in America. Like it or not. He does Piccolo, he does Vegeta, he does Yamcha, and he oversees the script localizations. Like, the dude is heavily invested in Dragon Ball under the Funimation banner. I do wonder, could potentially, if I was the guy who ran Crunchyroll, I wouldn't change things. I wouldn't fuck up, the gift formula. You don't look a gift horse in the mouth, right? You just absorb Dragon Ball. You would probably leave things as they are, especially considering how much nostalgia plays into every single thing that we do in our, that we interact with in our society. Why fuck up a good thing, right? Why wouldn't you leave Chris Sabat in charge of that localization? But I tried to look it up to see if there was any kind of announcements on who's overseeing the localizations, and I couldn't find shit, which I don't think is surprising or anything like that. It's not out yet. When the first localization comes out, though, I do expect to find some credits online of, the people who worked on it. But yeah, Daima starting on October 11th. I don't know how long the delay on the dub is going to be for you dub watchers, but I imagine it'll at least be a week or two at a minimum, probably more like 2 weeks at a minimum, but we'll see. And I'm very excited for it. Speaking of Daima, they let us listen to the opening song. And as you guys know, I've been a working musician in bar rooms and restaurants since I was 14 years old. I'm 35. That's a long time. I have opinions on music, and some of the Dragon Ball opening songs are some of my absolute favorite songs of all time, unironically. And I always like to kind of just hit pause on the song and be like, do I like this? Maybe I do. So let's listen. It's called Jaka Jaan, I think. What a stupid fucking name, Jaka Jaan. So let's listen to this and see what we think here, I guess. All right, ready? All right, automatically. this better just be like a low quality rip, right? But why do you sound like the fucking opening of Super Mario 3 right now? That's not a good sign. I do imagine though, you'll hear it throughout. There are sound effects throughout. So this is a direct rip. I don't know. I'll probably try not to stop it so frequently. My bad. But that cartoonish shit. It reminds me of like the first 18 episodes of Dragon Ball Super. They had that little kiddish fucking organ shit. And I was like, this is not for me. All right, so obviously I just fucking grooved that opening song, but for whatever obnoxious reason, I don't speak Japanese. This song was made with a German, I believe, producer. His name is ZEDD, ZEDD, like Lord Zedd from the Power Rangers. Either way, he has been a Dragon Ball fan most of his life, but I believe it is the first instance of a non-Japanese music producer producing, composing, however you want to phrase it, probably both in this case, I guess, a Dragon Ball opening for the Japanese exclusively. You know, like I think it's another, I've been talking about this a little bit with Sparking Zero, but with Sparking Zero, I think it's interesting that they kept the Japanese title of Sparking Zero, which is sick. Like, keep it, Sparking number 4. But a lot of the information that Bandai has put out, or the trailers that Bandai has put out, the first releases of things have been the English dubs. And that's the first time they've done that. I feel in maybe it's also one of the first times they've had the opportunity to do it. But I think it's an example or proof that they view Dragon Ball as a global property, and for them to have put it out in exclusively a Japanese trailer and not appeal exclusively to the large base in the West or, people in Latin America who can easily translate the shit that we got going on here in English in our stupid ass language. Either way, they use familiar language here for Japanese lyrics and a Dragon Ball song. The two words that you probably heard that you might have recognized: Zenkai, common phrase used in Dragon Ball. You get a Zenkai boost, but also doggy kitty Zenkai power, right? But also Waku Waku. I don't even know what Waku Waku means. If I'm thinking of the screen grab in my brain, Waku Waku no, it's an opening phrase. It's a phrase from the opening song, I should say, for Limit Break X Survivor, the usual theme song of this stupid ass dumb podcast you're listening to. Waku Waku no, I don't know what Waku means. I think it's about excitement. So Zenkai, excitement. I think it's interesting that this German music producer, I can't believe I'm talking about it this much. I think it's interesting this German music producer so openly adopted the vernacular of previous Dragon Ball songs. That's exciting to me. I mean, obviously he speaks Japanese, right? I hope. Probably. All right, we continue. Here it is. All right, I'm going to stop it right there. The reason I'm stopping it is because as dumb as I think this song is and how much I do not think it stacks up to any of the previous Dragon Ball opening songs, any of them at all, front to back from 1986 to whatever the last fucking year was for Super, 2018. No Dragon Ball opening song is worse than the one that we're listening to right now. And you know what? I understand that that's probably kind of a biased statement because I've listened to this maybe, 6 or 7 times. But it has been stuck in my goddamn head all day, every day for the last 2 days. And again, I don't really like this song, but I think it might be growing on me a little bit. What I think this is the part anyway where I stopped. Um, this is the part that's been replaying in my head a little bit. That's like the earworm of it. And it's just like a slight imitation of the vocal part that we already heard. There's a couple little like interstitial notes in between for parts of the melody, but it's largely the same melody, right? Ba 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 ba. And I'm just like, okay, yeah. One thing I talk about in some of those GT reviews is the music. I love a lot of the music in GT, but largely what the music in GT does, not always, but I would say like fucking close to 50% of it. They reinvent the headers or the main melodies of either a opening song like Don Don for all 64 episodes, that one's used regularly, or some of the ending songs like Hits Harijani, that one's used all the time. One of my favorite Dragon Ball songs ever, right? So looking at it from this perspective, and I hate that I'm automatically comparing these two series, the point in me doing the GT rewatch is to hopefully have some ammo. Not only like GT is worse than Super. No shit, I shouldn't have to explain that to you, but I am. But also hopefully Daima is not an exact duplicate or, completely scrapping the components of Dragon Ball GT. But I do imagine in terms of the opening song, I bet you $10 again that they borrow strongly from the melody of this opening song and base a lot of the instrumentation and the score around it. And I don't necessarily hate it as much as I don't like the production of the song and some of the sounds they use from a ba, 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 ba. This is my keyboard, can't you tell? Like, as much as I don't love that, I do like the melody of this song and how they could potentially use it in several different circumstances or such situations. Let's keep going. Thank you for listening. I've never really talked this much about music on this song. Let's go. Cool. Okay, interesting way to land it. Kind of reinforces what I was saying, speaking to the strength of the general melody. Fuck yeah. You know what, dude? Maybe I do like this song more than I thought. My bad. I kind of like it the way it's constructed. This is obviously a truncated version of a longer song, as all of these opening songs are, right? This one's about 90-ish seconds, despite the fact that we just broke it up into 3 pieces. Somehow, I appreciate your patience with me, guys, but it's a fun song, and they definitely know what the hook is. The da na 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 na. That sounded a little derivative, though, huh? What does that sound like? Tell me in the comments. I'm excited for Daima, mainly because it's tough to make this show without new manga and without new episodes. Okay? I'm just going to say it how it is. It's tough. So I'm really appreciative and super excited. Oh my Christ, am I excited about these new episodes in October and Ranma 1/2 as well. Sparking Zero. I still have to place my order for a PlayStation, guys. I am procrastinating so fucking badly. Speaking of a PlayStation, the last part I wanted to do was just Sparking Zero characters. So this will probably be brief. And the reason is, I talked about it a few episodes ago. We have just been inundated with so much information about this goddamn game that every time I get a new piece, I'm just like, I know the game's coming out. Shut the fuck up. What's cool is that I've realized that I believe anyway, I could be wrong, most of the stuff that they've revealed through previews and trailers to this point, it does all seem to be in-game, in base game. Like, you don't have to purchase additional stuff to get it. And that is a big-ass roster. It's like 183-ish, I believe. Maybe it's 163. The reason I'm confusing the numbers is because about a day or two after they released the last trailer of all the final base set characters, they leaked, I think, maybe the first DLC. These also could be included in the base game. And it's primarily just the movie characters like Tapion or Bojack or Lord Slug or a billion different, a billion. There's only fucking what, 10 movies? 3 of them, 13 movies, 3 of them are Broly. All right, maybe not a million, but you get what I'm saying. They released a set of characters that are primarily focused around Dragon Ball Z movies, which is very cool. And then they also leaked some information about Dragon Ball GT characters. And honestly, they do a tremendous job at kind of covering all their bases. The only thing that I thought was interesting from each of the sets, you can go look up these lists. I was thinking about reading them, but do you really want to listen to me read a fucking list right now? I know I don't want to read a list, so I'm not going to. But the only two things that I thought were interesting that were missing from first the movie set, it's just Bojack. Tapion's in it. I don't think Hirudegarn is, but they're definitely going to release Hirudegarn as one of those giant playable characters. Like, there's zero doubt about it, right? But for Bojack, I figured they at least release 1 or 2 of his gang, primarily Zangia, because you could always use another female character in these types of games. And no Zangia. So I was thinking about it in like the context of a game like Xenoverse 2 that has had continuous new DLC updates for the last 8 years. Can you imagine what the DLC updates are going to look like for Dragon Ball fucking Sparking Zero in the year 2032? Because they might still be pushing them out. And we could have 8 million different goddamn characters. And it's going to be so much fun. And I think this community around this game is going to be very fun. Hopefully not overly competitive and douchebags. What I'm excited about is, unlike Fighters was designed to be a competitive fighting game in realm with things like Tekken or a Marvel versus Capcom. I'm dating myself with that reference. I'm sure there's a billion different other fighting games out there that I'm not thinking of or aware of even, because I'm old. But my point is, Fighters was designed to cater to that competitive fighting community. Sparking Zero, I'm not so sure. I'm sure there will be a faction of that where people are trying to be the very best like no one ever was. But I think this game is going to unlock a lot of creative aspects for people who just like Dragon Ball, and they're going to have 1,000,001 different options in terms of creating custom Dragon Ball scenes. Reading some more about those extras, I read a thing. They're going to have like 5,000 different, and this is between all the characters. So assume like at least a couple of hundred, maybe 300 characters total at the end of the game. Although they'll add them. So let's just assume among 200 characters for sake of easy math. They're going to have 5,000 different dialogue options between those, 200 characters to be able to create your own custom scenes and like custom objective fights and things like that. My point is, I think this game is going to breed a lot more creativity in Dragon Ball fans than it will competition like Fighters did. And I'll tell you what, man, I'm so goddamn excited for that. I bought Fighters day one. I played it religiously for fucking 3 or 4 months. I know my limitations as a fucking fighting game guy. I'm really good at Mortal Kombat 2. I'm decent at Mortal Kombat 3 for the SNES. After that, didn't really progress. Bars. But I feel like with Fighters, I got to a point where I knew the mechanics. I was comfortable. I had fun playing. But after a few months, it fell off, and it was just a big community of very serious fighting game players. And I'd play, and sometimes I'd win, and I would get some fucking hate mail. You fucking suck. You spam, blah, blah, blah. You're a cheap ass bitch. Why don't you kill yourself? And then other times, I'd play, and I got my ass whipped. Like, this is no good. This is no fun. Why am I playing this game? Whipped. And then I get a hate mail message, and it'd say, why don't you fucking kill yourself and get off this game, old man? You don't even know what the fuck you're doing. Hey, can you read? Can you read this message? Things like that. Very hurtful. I don't think Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is going to be that environment or this and that environment I just described. I think it's going to be fun for a long time. We're going to have 1,000,000 different things to look forward to in terms of DLC. I was a little surprised that the GT DLC did not, because I'm pretty sure GT and the movie guys are going to be DLC. They're saying the special day one character is going to be Goku from Goku Daima. From Dragon Ball Daima, it's going to be that version of little kid Goku. I think that's going to be the special character. They're going to do a DLC package for the Daima characters where everyone will have their chibi versions or whatever. And like those 4 or 5 new characters that are being introduced from the Demon Realm. It's going to be fun, man. We're going to have a lot to look forward to. As the kids say, we will be eating good in October. And I just wanted to share some thoughts and some excitement about it. I'm happy. I'm happy for the first time in a while. Maybe it's the booze talking. Maybe it's the future lasagna. But damn, am I happy that we have so much to look forward to in the next month of October. Is going to be so much fun, man. I'm so excited. So make sure you guys subscribe, like, whatever. If you're on YouTube, like the video, that helps the algorithm. I will never do a thing on YouTube, so you don't have to if you don't want. But, an Apple Podcast review is nice. If you leave, a written review, I will read it on the show. That's how words work. And we'll see you next time for another episode of Dragon Ball Super Dope. Dude, I almost just fucking whiffed it on a promise that I made to my friends. And I won't have that happen again. Oh, too loud. I gotta turn it down. I'm deaf. I can't hear myself. I'm deaf. You've been around for a while. You know what this music means. I wanted to take a minute before we end the episode to thank the Super Dope audience, obviously, but also the people who support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Dragon Ball Super Dope. If you're not subscribed, you would be smart to do so. We have a couple hundred pieces of content right now, like extra podcast episodes, uncut episodes of this show. But I just wanted to thank my friends, Roberto. Roberto, you are so much the man. Also, Dallas Polkovich. He's a great dude, too. Marcus Woods. Honestly, Marcus isn't even a patron anymore. I mean, he is. And that his debit card is still connected, but Marcus is my friend. David Cheers. Oh, man, my fucking meme master. Love you, David. I hope you're doing all right, my friend. Livicious Levi Hornsby. This guy's been around for the better part of 5 years. Yo, talking about the better part of 5 years, listen to these last 3. These guys have been around since before the pandemic, okay? Before the pandemic. Reese Andriotis, way down in Australia, mate. Little baby Geraldine Rivera. I haven't caught up with this dude in a couple of years, but really appreciate it, man. I miss you, buddy. Say hi, all right? I don't even know how to get in touch with you. Say hi. And then, of course, Mr. Brandon Paxosa. He's come and he's gone, but he was one of the first patrons to ever sign up for that shit. So let me just say thank you like this. Because this is Dragon Ball Super Dope. I am singing songs on Patreon. Right? I don't even know how to follow that up. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow? What am I doing tomorrow? What do you do tomorrow? Who cares? I'm not recording the podcast. I'll see you next time. My stomach's growling. Super dope.